Hello everyone, my name is Art Loft and I'm a 3D hobbyist. So in this video I would like to cover brushes and some of the brushes that I use in particular for my sculpts, largely my head sculpts. So we're going to get started just by introducing you to Nomad's own description of their brushes, and you can find that by simply tapping here and going to the manual and clicking on tools, and each of the tools has a little demonstration as to the effect. Of course, you won't get this effect here under clay unless your resolution is high enough. Then under just brush, you can see it's a softer, more organic type of tool. The flatten, interesting here that the program describes flattening the area by projecting the points onto the average plane. So we start here with a clay and then a flatten, and then you get an average. Of course, the inflate tool, vertices along their own normals. So you can go through this. It's available even while you're sculpting. You can just move on over to through the app to the manual and find any information that you want. So in addition to that, I have a number of custom brushes in my tool set. You can see here clay strip and clay tube, organic. This one round, standard. Then I have all these skin brushes, eye brushes, nose, lips. The first of these, we're just going to hop on over to the Facebook Nomad Sculpt page, which if you're not a member, you can join here. And in the header of the page, we have files, and these are either models, but anything that starts or ends with .json, that is a tool. So if you come down here, you'll see clay strip, clay tube, and clay strip is the primary one that I use. And also John Mills, who is a moderator of the site, he's published the resize, so make note of that, because later on I'm going to demonstrate it and you'll find that very, very helpful. There's other things here which I really don't find myself needing, but maybe if I did other types of sculpts I would. So let's go back to Nomad. I'm using my base mesh. It was a sculpt that I retopologized in Blender and brought back into the program. I have smooth shading turned off, you can see the faceted surface. If I turned it on, it would look like that. I find that highly misleading. We have a very low resolution here, and so I want to see the true. Well, I want to see the impact of my brushes on the mesh, and to me, this is the best way to go about doing that. So at this stage, well, if you saw the video tutorial I made for sculpting a male head in 1 hour, clay strip was the brush that I was using most of the time. So let's just look at the fall off. So at the right resolution, this is going to give me a fairly flat stroke with a fairly abrupt fall off. So let's take a look at that. This is the temporal area, and the ridge in the skull comes up to here, and then comes around. This is fairly pronounced, and then it travels as a bony landmark you'll see on the surface, protruding above the skin, pushing the skin up. So this tool is great for doing some very quick shaping, adding, even subtracting. You can subtract with it like that, and just go over it with lightly with the smooth tool. So as I'm working, as I said, that's my tool of choice. Of course, I do use the move brush. You know, especially at this stage, you're not making drastic changes. You know, like I find in sculpting the human head that nuanced changes can make can drastically change the appearance. So I use move a lot, but don't really use it to create the character. I use it just for making small changes at this stage. In sculpting a head in 1 hour, I used it a lot more when I was working with primitives. Clay tool is a tool of my making, and the unique thing about it is the fall off. I decided that I wanted to be able to work on the surface of the skin at certain times without making huge changes. So I developed a very low fall off, a very low profile with almost zero fall off, and then I upped the intensity. And of course you can play with your radius. So for example, if I felt that in this area, if I needed a little bit of added volume, then I could just do that. And you can see already, see this little ridge in here? Like, that's already, it's just nice because there's no real sharp edges. It's just a volume brush, a very I would just say low impact in some ways. You can use it up here. You know, like even though the temporal area of the head has this depression, it starts to round off up in here. So you can do that. And, you know, at this stage, I'd prefer to do that, you know, than that. Right? I mean, I can do that. My resolution's a little higher now. Not that much, but... And I can still soften it. But I do find that very helpful. So you can create that brush yourself. And you just go from your presets into your custom. And you can move this up and down like that. This can be moved up. Of course, I hope you understand that the further this goes up, you'll see a sharp edge along your stroke, on both sides of your stroke. See there? See how that's changed that? I got like this very abrupt. So we don't want that. Bring that down. And by the way, I use this fall off for painting as well, because it gives me very soft, you know, when I need it, a very soft approach to adding textures and tones instead of, you know, a solid black going up against a solid red and you have a line. So anyways, that's just a little tip. I developed that one myself. Obviously, you don't have to be a brainchild to do these sorts of things. How do you do that? Well, basically, you know, just take any tool. So, for example, the brush tool. And you can clone it. And give it a name. And I named it 3. Went all the way down to the bottom. And then you can start playing with the fall off. You could add dots. Alright. Wonder what this will look like. I don't think it's going to look right because, yeah, I played with this a little bit. This isn't going to be very nice, but let's just see, just for the sake of demonstration. Go up high intensity, low. Well, you know what? If you had a certain application where you needed that, you know, that kind of, like let's say you wanted to add some wrinkles across the head, you'd need a better or a finer resolution than what I have right now. But we can do that. Just subdivide it. Alright, let's see what that does. I'm going to back the intensity off to take care of this. Yeah, it's still not performing real well. But anyways, you get the idea. And then let's say you don't like that brush. You can always edit it. Or tap and remove. And it's gone. So we'll just back off our changes. Like that. I did mention to you that John Mills on the site developed and published a tool called Resize. So I've renamed it to Standard. And it is super cool. So we'll turn the sub red. We'll take a look at what he's using as a fall off. He's selected the in to the power of 4. And I think this is fairly high. But let's just take, for example, the nostril. We can just pull it and see, watch it expand. So let's say you were working on a, well, for example, I did a chameleon lizard, and so I just, created very simple tube-like arms and legs, and then I use this to develop the muscles. And this, if you take it off of sub, then it'll shrink it. So you shrink now and draw it back like that. All right. So I think you'll find that at certain times that's indispensable. For example, on the lips, like let's say you wanted to make your lips a little fuller, you could do that. Now that would normally take, a lot of fussing around, right? Take the move tool, turn on your wire mesh, bring this up, and then maybe take your inflate tool, lower the radius like that. So there you are. You're fussing with it, whereas that was our original. We take John's resize tool and go right in the center, and it's done. There we go. This area of the lip is supposed to be come in underneath the top lip a bit, so you could use that. Suck it in like that's really cool. I think just got to make sure you're getting the mesh that you want. So yeah, that's pretty nice. What about here? Yeah, I mean, you still have to use your common sense and your skills and your experience, but it's there. I think it's pretty valuable tool. Let's see if there's... So during the sculpting process, once we get to a little higher resolution, I like to reserve the clay brush, which, by the way, I think was designed to do what I did with the clay strip brush. But I like the fall off better for the clay strip. So I leave my clay brush for softer changes. I can, and also I can bring it down and give myself this fall off, the smooth step. The clay strip has this plank-like clay application, and whereas if I just use the clay, then I can use the soft step, and that, for instance, in here gives me a very nice a very nice way to just softly, either add or subtract. And so that's what I use regular clay for instead. And then the brush tool is by default has a power of 3, an outward expansion of the vertices by the power of 3, and it's much more powerful in its response to the mesh. Like the response in the mesh is much more dramatic than the clay brush, and I can demonstrate that. So I don't know, try 100 here and just use that. See how responsive that was? Even now, if I go down to 50, it's actually still a bit too strong. So 29. Yeah, 29 might give me more of what I want to work with. I found that if you took the clay and set it for 100, well, we'll set it for 50 and just go up here. All right, so that was 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 here. 1, 2, that's 2, and I take the brush and set it for 50. Yeah, there you go. So I don't really like having to change intensities, and it is a small annoyance for me in working in Nomad. Like Blender and ZBrush. Like I use Blender, but I really haven't done a lot of sculpting in Blender. But I know that you can set the intensity to not change when you change your brushes. I'm not sure what happens here. Like if I went to clay, my intensity is 50. If I went to brush, it's 50. Yeah, these are all changing. And, it makes sense, but it's just a bit of a hassle. But nevertheless, it is what it is. I don't know if there's any other specific tools. I do like the inflate brush, and it can give you a nice even, like especially in the ears where you need a little bit of ballooning. You can just draw it down here and give the ear ridge a little bit of a proper ridge. Also the earlobe. You can also use the resize to give it a little volume. I sometimes use the inflate brush to sculpt. Just keep it on low intensity. Let's see here. You come down here. You can put it on sub. It gives you a nice even distribution. So that's pretty cool. All right, well, the last thing I wanted to show you, just because I use it, is I'm going to subdivide, get my resolution up a bit. Now, if I was working in subdivision or multi-resolution, this would be kind of the height of my resolution, just because I'm very conservative with resolution. I don't like to throw a lot of high resolution at a model unless I absolutely have to. So I like to keep it. I will not increase the resolution on anything unless I absolutely need to. But the sharp tool, I got this idea watching Eric 3D on YouTube. He's also a member of the Nomad Sculpt Facebook page, and it's pretty simple. He's using the you can use any of these, but we're going to use the in-circle, but you could use, depending on the shape you want. But that's going to give you a very sharp point. And if your resolution is high like that, and then let's say you can play with lazy rope. I like lazy rope because it's got the string attached to it, and it's much easier to, if I took lazy rope off and tried to duplicate that, you could, but I guess the good way to explain it is it gives you time to think, having the lazy rope. It kind of gives you a few split seconds to decide on, what line you want. And if I if I turn on subtraction and bring my radius right down, there's always a bit of a line here in the eye. And that might be a bit, like, for this resolution still, it might be a bit severe. Anyways, get the smooth tool out. At this resolution, I'm at 169 for intensity, but yeah, you're just leaving yourself just a little bit of a, because the matte cap shading will show that. Like, it's very subtle, it's there. Let's see if I go back, what happens. Yeah, so and also, like, at this resolution, you've got the eyelid, but then the skin tends to start folding over in here, even in younger subjects. So you could use that there. And so that works well. It's like a finely sharpened pencil. Okay. So at this point, I'd like to introduce Gary Force. You can find him on YouTube. This is his ArtStation store account, and he's developed a number of low-cost brushes. For instance, nose and lips, eye brushes, skin detail. Some of them are for free, like I think, which one is it? Yeah, they have zeros here, $0. So I have these. I find that, I have limited use for alphas, but I do appreciate I've purchased these 3 packages, and I've gotten everything. So we'll go back to, and you can see, the skin packages are here. I'll demonstrate them a bit. At this resolution, it'll work well. So, for example, some of them operate with a grab stroke type, and some of them operate on a stroke. And the stroke, you can move your pen around the surface and draw that alpha across the surface, whereas the grab and the grab dynamic radius or intensity, they will stay in one spot, and it's difficult to match up your spots. So yeah, that's for another time. So anyways, we'll start with this one. So there you see that these are skin pores. Now I think they're a bit stretched. There you go. You can move your thing around there. You can, yeah, and depending on your application, that's how you know which one you want to use. Demonstrate just arbitrarily here, 10. So that's a stroke. See how that's... I actually prefer these. And I don't know if you saw that. There you go, that snapping effect. That's stroke spacing. And that's something you should play with and experiment with, because it enables you to just have a little more control over where you want your alphas to go. He has other things here. I'm looking for a wrinkle. I don't remember where they are. But anyways, you can... So if you're interested, they're fairly low cost, and I know it took them a lot of time and effort to build them. And there's literally all sorts of features like eye texture. There you go. That was in the package. You can do an eye socket, which you would do a three-headed or a three-eyed. That's you'd have to adjust your resolution, your intensity. If we brought the intensity down there, and I think also, well, for a single, we'll turn off symmetry. So it raises the scan, and then you can insert an eyeball. But you'd have to play with the intensity. What else we got here? He's got 3 different types of sockets. I used this one for a dinosaur eye once. Let's see here. We'll just go back and we'll give it another shot. Bring down the intensity. Okay. I don't really use these too much. Like, he's got noses and eyes, but if you're just looking to do something really quick, like there. That is funny. Yeah, and it's not half bad. Like, you could play with that, you could work with it after that sort of thing. Clean it up. Then there's lips, right? So I won't spend too much time with that. So other than that, I think you've got a pretty good idea. Now, the only thing I'll add to what I've said already is I'm just going to take you through. If you're an Android user, if you have an Android smartphone or or a tablet like mine, I've got the Samsung S7 Plus. I have 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage. So, but make your way over to Nomad Sculpt, and here's the file section. So I think we've already shown you this, but what I also want to show you, if you're an Android user, so I'm sort of circling back, is we'll go to clay strip, because I really recommend that you get this or try to duplicate it on your own. There's no cost, but what I found, and not every Android user seems to have this problem, but I certainly do. If I click on that, it says downloading file. Well, you know, there it is, right? But so this File Manager Plus, you can get that on the Play Store. That's an essential thing to have if you're an Android user. It was recommended by the Nomad Sculpt developer as well. But if I go to like downloads, so there it is. Now, I don't know, I was playing around here today. I might have downloaded it earlier, but sometimes I find that it won't download properly. But so what I have to do is I go here and I copy the link, and then I go into my browser, and I get it this way. Or you can just go log into Facebook on your browser, and there it is there. And I don't have any trouble downloading it in this way. But now, getting back to installing it, so you have to make sure that Nomad is shut down. So on my tablet, I'm going to close it all, and then go into my file manager, so I don't even see it now. Oh, there it is. So then you would long press and you would copy, and this is the tricky part. You have to find, if you're an Android user, you have to tell your device to show hidden files. And once you do that, then this particular file manager will access that. They all don't, but this will. So now in my case, I can use the recent button, and this is what you're looking for. You're looking for Android data com.stephaniejanier.nomad files tools. And with Nomad closed, completely shut down, like not just minimized, but shut down, now you can paste it into that folder, and I've already got it there, so I'm going to skip that. And then once you open up Nomad, then it will be present in here if you did it right. If you have any trouble with that, I might be able to help you out through the comments section. Let me know. And again, I'm going to wrap this up. I really love working with these base meshes. And I do encourage people to spend the time learning to create a sculpt from primitives, where you have a sphere, cylinders for the neck, 2 cylinders for the ears. Learn to voxel merge it all together, um, form it into shape, all that. And that's really important, I feel, because I did hundreds of them, and that was the only way I learned how to do it, where it became like body memory. But now I'm at the point where I don't feel like I need to learn that process anymore. So I'm starting to use my base meshes. And if you feel that you would like to get your hands on one of these, um, they're available on Sketchfab. My username is Builder54. And don't feel that you're cheating by using a base mesh, because in the industry, it's done all the time. And I can tell you that, let's say, so I've been just doing some homework. Okay, let's say this guy here. I just came across this guy here tonight. He's on ArtStation. His name is Pedro Flores. And this is a self-portrait that he's done in Blender. And I just think it's absolutely incredible. It looks like a photo to me. And man, if I could do that, I'd be a happy guy. But if you look at, my point is, if you look at this base mesh and you look at Pedro there, like, you've got a ton of work ahead of you to turn this base mesh into that. So when you're done and you have a successful sculpt, you don't have to feel bad about the fact that you started with the base mesh, because like, that's just nonsense. The other thing too is the base mesh has been UV unwrapped, so you can, once you're done, you can start texturing and painting. And I'll just show you. There we go. So I just used, in this case, I just used Blender's Smart UV Unwrap, and that's what it gave me. So, I don't really care. See at the back, if we get rid of Pedro there, you can see the 2D image, and that's what's laying on this 3D model. I don't know if there's anything else I wanted to share. It was a bit longer than I wanted to go on, but anyway, thank you for your patience, and send some feedback. I always appreciate, if you like. I am guilty of this. I've watched so many videos, and I've only left a fraction of them with a thumbs up, because I just don't think it's important. But the people that are doing the videos, they do get, it's some reinforcement. So if you like the video, if you found it helpful, even in a small way, give it a thumbs up. Or if you have a question or anything else, you can leave it in the comments. So that's it for now, and I plan on doing some more videos. I think the next step is to take the sculpt, a male head, in about an hour, and we're going to start at that point, and start making some changes and fine-tuning, so that the proportions and the eyes and everything look right. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to be able to get it done, but you'll know. Thank you.